see this with people that come up and they'll visit and they'll model schools. And the question is, it used to always really just intrigue me as a consultant. We had all these schools, they were all getting the same information. They were all getting that information delivered essentially through the same two people, but yet you just saw wildly different results. And sometimes, you might be tempted to say, well, they're in different areas, but sometimes some of these people were in areas that you almost thought, I could see why the results wouldn't work as much for this person as they do for somebody else. But then they would surprise you and actually produce more results. So it just really started to intrigue me. And then to this day, I see the same thing constantly happening, where everyone's getting the same information, but yet you get these wildly different results. And here's the thing about today versus when Master Silver and I were coaching back in the 90s, there's more information available today than there ever was back then. This is going to sound odd, but we had like breakthrough technology. We were providing audio cassettes, power packs, and eventually we went on big time to give you VHS cassette tapes, called Primetime. But today, I mean, between YouTube and Zoom, the information's everywhere, but yet you still see that same pattern where some schools are just running with it and growing and other schools aren't. And it just has always just been that thing that why is that? Because, we're all teachers. And one thing about when you have a teacher's heart, you want to teach and you want to share and you want to see people grow. That's just the way we're built. So I apologize in advance if today's going to sound a little preachy, and if I'm going to do a lot of talking, just because I'm going to share this stuff with you that I've seen when I've had heart-to-heart conversations with people. And I said, listen, you really need to consider these thoughts right here in regards to how you look at your school. We've actually seen some big time turnarounds, some real changes. So if I could just, get started and share with you, if you want to grow your school and you want to stay relevant and you want to stay, consistent with your growth, you have to consider, do you have a growth mindset? Do you have a growth mindset? People with a growth mindset are constantly looking to improve. They want to grow. They're constantly looking for ways to make their school, to make their classes, to make their staff better. And they're searching within their schools, what can we do better? What's not up to par? What areas are still need improvement? They're constantly looking for a better way to do things. So that kind of gives you an idea of the tempo of how they're approaching their business, okay? But they also believe that better is possible. So despite however much success they have, they still think that there's plenty of room to grow. And it's not a cliche, it's not what's the biggest room in the world? It's room for improvement. I mean, these people really believe it. We're doing well, but there's still a lot of areas that we need to do much better. And they focus on those areas. They have this growth mindset. I share with my team, and again, I apologize because I'm in New England, but to me, it's the Bill Belichick. Here's a guy that's won all these Super Bowls, and every time you see him, he's just not happy. Okay, we got so much work to do. We got so many areas to improve. And here you are winning all these Super Bowls. That's the people with growth mindsets. They're not really caught up in their own success. As Master Silver used to tell me, they don't read their own press. They're not impressed with themselves. They really have this determination to be better, and they expect more from themselves and the people around them. Well, what does that look like? Let me first give you a couple of things. How do they improve? Well, there's some specific things that I've noticed from these people. Number one, they're seekers. I remember going to a seminar one time, way back when I was a kid, and I heard this analogy about developing staff. And it says that the gold miner will go into the mine and sift through tons and tons of dirt, but he doesn't go in looking for the dirt. He goes in looking for the gold. Now that's from Andrew Carnegie. And that was an answer to when Andrew Carnegie was asked a question way back then, what did these people do that they were worth to you so much that you paid them $1 million a year? And he said, well, you mine men like you mine for gold. You're looking for that gold nugget. That's these people too. but it's in regards to their business. They go to seminars, they go to webinars, and sometimes the longer you've been doing this, the more dirt you're sifting through. Now, and I'm not saying dirt bad, just I've heard this before. Yeah, I heard that before. But then they're looking for that gold nugget. They're looking for that one takeaway where they walk away and go, oh man, this is good. This is really good. They may listen to a 45-minute seminar and get one idea, but that's just the way they are. They are seekers. They go to all the seminars, all the way, because they're just looking, what's the one thing I'm not doing? What's the one area that I can improve upon? What's the one idea that I can bring back to my school and give us a new facelift, give us, keep us relevant? They're seekers. So that's one of the ways that they're constantly improving is they just got their ear to the heartbeat of the industry. They got their ear to the ground. They're seeing what's going on. They bring it back to the school. That's how you're able to see these people in business for so long. Like I say, hello, Mr. Fournier. It's so good to see you. I mean, this is a guy, yeah, man, this is a guy who's been in it for a long time. Mr. Perez, everybody, you guys have been in this for a long time. And why are we still in it? Why are we still passionate? Why are we still changing things? Because we're seekers. We're looking, how can I make things better at my school? How can I bring a better way to my students? How can I bring a better way to my staff? So that's one of the ways that these people are constantly improving. Another way is they study stats. I tell my team all the time, stats are our students and our former students speaking to us. So we have to listen carefully. So they study stats, and a lot of times their stats are telling them where their attention needs to go. There's the old saying, where your attention goes, energy flows, and results will soon follow. That's the idea. They're constantly looking at stats because that's our students who are talking to us. Those are the students who quit. They're saying, listen, something's happened at the purple belt level. Something's happened at the red belt level. Let's listen carefully and make adjustments so that we can continue to grow. Stats to them are more than just record keeping. It's a game plan of how they run their business. And then the last thing that these people are constantly doing is they're looking at their business from their students' point of view. We call it student-centered thinking. They're constantly looking at, if I was a student, how would I feel? I'll tell you a really good story. I forget his name. He was in charge of marketing for Chick-fil-A. And he used to go around to all the different franchises, and they would call it Marketing Wednesday, where he would take the manager of that particular location, and on their busiest time, he'd have them outside the counter, in front of the counter, and just watch. And he'd have them write down everything they've observed. Some of their best ideas actually came from doing this. They found that when people want their food quick, but they also want it fresh. So when people are looking there and they see a pile of fries, what are you thinking? How long those fries been sitting there? And that's why they moved the fries. So all their marketing ideas came from just looking at things from their students' point of view. Now that seems obvious to us, but Master Silva, I'm sure you would agree, how many times will you talk to someone and they're defending their system more than they're defending the customer? Well, this is what listen, if that's not working for that customer, I can already tell you what's going to change. Because they're looking at everything from their customer's point of view. What does this feel like to the student? What does this look like to the customer? What does this look like to the parent? What does this feel like to the parent? And that's another way that they're constantly improving this. They're just looking at their business from their student's point of view. So when you have this growth mindset, this is indicative of what these people look like. They're seekers, they study their stats, they're constantly looking at things from their customer point of view. But it gets even better than that. In my mind, the greatest benefit to have a growth mindset comes from what the president of Pixar said. The president of Pixar said, we recognize that there's going to be problems in our business. And our job is to find those, and these problems stop us from growing. He says, and our job is to find those problems and solve those problems so that we can continue growing. Now think about that for a second. When I read that, I sat back and I go, what stops us from growing are the problems that are there that we just don't see. You think about this. I got a student quitting, how many students quit in the basic level? So there's a problem there. But I can't see it, so we got to find it. That's the great thing about having a growth mindset, is that you're constantly on the search to solve problems before they become issues. if all of a sudden I'm just, and by the way, what's the opposite of a growth mindset? It's a survival mindset. That's the frustration that a coach like Master Silver experiences, and what I used to experience as a consultant. Why are you not changing anything? Why are you not doing all the ideas that we're sharing? Because listen, this was the unspoken conversation. Listen, I don't really want to grow. I just don't want to lose what I have. That's the problem. Why, if I was talking to someone, why would you not implement this stuff? Why would you not? Well, because I don't know, more seems like a lot of work. I just don't want to lose what I have. But here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with that thinking. Go back to what the president of Pixar says. You have problems in your school, and most of them are unseen to you right now. So if you do nothing, you're going to lose what you have. No question about it. You think about Master Silva, all the problems, major crisis problems when you get phone calls from your clients. This stuff just popped up overnight? Or was this stuff kind of brewing under the surface, and because it wasn't dealt with, became a major issue? Now it's crisis management. Now I got to call Master Silva in the middle of the night. You got to help me, man. There is no answer to that. This stuff should have been solved. Staff just doesn't get up one day and quit. These were unsolved problems that have been going on and on and on. But again, here's the thing. You don't know what you don't know. So how can you solve a problem that you don't know is a problem? That's why you have to have the growth mindset. A lot of the problems we're solving, we go to these seminars, I hear ideas, I go, boy, I don't do that. Now I start implementing it with my staff, and I just prevented a problem from becoming an issue because I solved pre-problems. Does that make sense? That's the idea.
I think that really happens with staff. When you started talking about that, you get a call in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
You know, I lost my top guy. I never thought I would quit. And being on the outside, you can see things happening and eroding in a school in between the relationship, and then all of a sudden it's gone. And
but why? So it's a surprise to you. And again, guys, this is just passion. That's all it is. It's passion, because Master Silva and I started this thing because we want to help. And there's nothing worse than when you're trying to give someone swim lessons and they just don't want to take them. But yet, they live on an island or whatever. They live on a floating boat. Like, you need to know how to swim, okay? It's just like, no, that's, so let me get this straight. Let's have a conversation with that invisible owner. So they never heard of SWAT before. They never heard of bench strength before. Now, they heard all those things. Why did they do them? I'm not interested. I just don't want to lose what I have. You don't understand, there's problems in your school happening right now. But when we get all these ideas, we end up solving problems before they become issues. So if you did the SWAT thing, then okay, pull one of your guys, let's give him some accelerated training, and let's get him replaced. I'm losing my top guy here. My number one guy, Sensei Wilson, he's decided that they're having another baby and he just can't do the nighttime thing anymore. But we have a team of people, and we've been massaging him out for the past 2 months to prepare for this moment.
do you build Belichick again, next man up?
Yeah, it's just like football, quite honestly, because at our school we have our main team, our bench team, and our practice squad. So our main team is our full-time staff, our bench strength is our part-time staff, and my practice squad is SWAT. So the SWAT, I could grab a SWAT member at any moment in time and have them go out there and run a class because they practice it every week. They're just not on the team yet. So, but you have to have this stuff because it's the reality of life. I mean, how many people do you know besides us, because we're married to this business, how many people do you know have switched careers? I know a lot of adults have switched careers. So that's just common, that's going to happen. But that's the thing about having a growth mindset. The biggest benefit to growth mindset is you're solving pre-problems before they become major issues. You're learning better retention ideas before you have a retention problem. You're learning better staff development ideas before you have a staff development issue. You're learning how to market before you start losing students, and then you're behind the gun and you're trying to catch up. That's the major benefit that I see. Other than that, when people don't have a growth mindset, they have a survival mindset. They don't want to grow and improve. They just don't want to lose what they have. But I've never seen that work out. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know, Master Silva, if you have, the people that aren't hungry for knowledge and trying to improve, if they're able to sustain that growth, or does it eventually?
No, you have to have the desire to always get better. But with that comes a lot of courage to just trust in yourself and be able to take some type of risk.
Yes.
And when you take some type of risk, if you're following someone, you're listening to someone that's done it being successful, you just have to have that trust.
That, I tell you what, Mastava, that's my life right there. We call it at the dojo borrowed confidence. My whole life's been borrowed confidence. When I first started training with LaValle when I was 19, I made my dojo look just like his. So you saw it. I literally, the rug was the same, the walls were the same, everything on the wall, everything was the same as his Liverpool school. His Cicero school. So I had a tremendous amount. I was like, man, we're gonna have a huge school because he does everything. We're doing everything that he does, and therefore we're gonna have his success. Then I met Master Silver, copied his curriculum, did everything, and I go back to my guys. Well, man, school's gonna be gigantic. We're not gonna have 1,000 students because I'm in Smithfield, Rhode Island, but we're gonna have a lot of students because we're doing exactly the same thing the big guys are doing. That was my confidence. And I mean, we didn't have 1,000 students, but we did have over 300 in a small town of Rhode Island. It was the same thing with fighting. If Don Rodriguez told me to do so, I was like, man, Don knows what he's talking about. I'm going to kill this guy. Whether it was true or not, I have no idea. But I just borrowed their confidence. That's the same thing you do when you're consulting, is you're borrowing their confidence. They have done it before. They've seen it work, if not in their schools and other schools. So that, it's going to work for you if you do the same things. I think that was probably one of the best quotes I ever learned from Tony Robbins, is that success leaves clues. If you do what they do and you do the same thing that they do, you're going to get the same result. It doesn't matter if you're man or woman. It doesn't discriminate. You're going to get the same results. When I heard that, I think that's what set a fire under my, back in the day we called it modeling, just modeling the big guys, finding out what they do what they do.
So what would you suggest to model now that people are getting back from post-COVID and they're starting, and is it a survival mode to just keep trying to keep the people you got? I mean, how do you change that mindset to have the confidence to start marketing and signing up new people? And
this is what I told my team, and it's interesting you asked that. I just had this conversation this morning with a school owner. When we were finally allowed to open, we had a staff meeting, and I told my team that I want them to be the Roger Bannisters of school operations. And I read them the story of Roger Bannister. And I go, this is the attitude you want. And here's why. I would rather have you go into your business right now thinking that it is possible to get everything back to the way it was, to get the gross up, to get the new students to the door, and to get the active count the way it was. I'd rather have you go in fully believing that, and then let's see what happens, versus going in going, man, we're in a pandemic. Nobody wants to train. Everybody's afraid to train. Because what if you're wrong? And because that's your attitude, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, let me just tell you what happened. Last month in August, all 4 of our schools had the best month they've had in 6 months. Every one of our affiliated schools had the best month they've had in 6 months. Only 2 of them had, so I can't say every school, all but 2 schools had the best months they've had. And those 2 schools, they're not the people that I'm describing right now. And we've had that conversation. They're not into the growth mindset. And I just told them, I said, go in and just pretend like there is no pandemic. I know that they're 6 feet apart and they got mad, but just go in thinking, all right, man, back to business normal. Let's go. Get classes. I expect you to be in class, and just act that way, and let's see what happens. And sure enough, it's working. Here's what we also found. And I know this is probably different from state to state, but in Massachusetts, they've canceled school sports. So guess what? Believe it or not, that has created, all of our schools had record-breaking new members last month. And I was just talking to my program director this morning. My program director said every single parent coming in says, I got to get them out of the house. There's nothing for these kids to do. So I told one of my schools, I said, start your Crowd Teens program right now, because teens have nothing to do right now. There's no football, there's no field hockey, there's nothing. This is a great time for them to get their feet wet, try something new. So let's get the word out there. But again, it's just looking for the opportunities. Okay, what is available to me? What can I do?
It reminds me of the story, the 2 shoe salesmen that went down to Australia, and they're trying to sell shoes out in the Outback. And one guy calls and goes, man, it's going to be tough. No one wears shoes down here. Some guy goes, what an opportunity. No one wears shoes down here. Yeah. So.
And you and I had that conversation, and I'm looking at the people that are on this. You all are fighters. You're all martial arts people. Remember when we used to fight, right? And you got hit with a good one. What did you do? I can see everybody on here. Nobody was like, oh my goodness. You'd be like, oh man, just say go because I'm paying this guy back. That's just our mentality. All right, so we got hit. We got hit with a good axe kick, really good one. Rocked our world. So what? Now we come back harder. Now what do we do? Now what are my opportunities ahead of me? How do I turn this thing around for my school? I told my wife when this thing went down, I said, there's no way. There's no way I've invested 30-something years to have this thing end like this. It's not happening. I'll do whatever I have to do. That's that fighting mindset. And that's the mindset you need right now. You got to come out of the gate strong and just stop fighting back. You know, classes are going to be even better so that the energy that people want to be here, value's got to be even higher so that people are seeing. Get out there and do your marketing on Facebook. Let people see what you're offering so that they're attracted to your business. This marketing, as we talked about in our last seminar, marketing is changing. It's all about the law of attraction now. It's no longer about what we're telling people. It's about people seeing it and being attracted to it and wanting to participate in it.
Yeah, shout out to Rich Kohler, who's on here. He did a community event. He just posted it on the Greg Silva's coaching page today.
Yeah, and then what happens, right? It's the people. Now he's tapping into the number one marketing tool that's available is word of mouth, because it's the people telling how good he is, not him. Mm-hmm. Those days are gone because trust is so low. They're not going to believe what we say. They're only going to believe what our students say or what they experience themselves. That's why the VIP stuff and the Facebook stuff is working so well. But if you come down to it, it's just having that growth mindset. It's just we want to grow, we want to improve, we want to grow. Sometimes my staff goes, well, how big do you want to get? I don't even set a number on it. That's not even on my radar. My radar is we got to get better. And then whatever happens, happens. Whatever the active count is, the active count is. But we've got to get better. We're still, there's still so many areas of our business to improve.
So developing this growth mindset, people can see the passion you have and the passion some of the other owners that are really killing it right now, their passion. How do you go from switching to, okay, I just want to survive through this thing, to having that growth mindset?
I think you'd have to realize that. I heard an expression Roland Osborne said one time, and I loved it. He said, it's like riding a bike. You're either pedaling, but if you're coasting, most likely you're going downhill. And I thought, wow, man, that's really good. That's really good. There is no coasting in this business. There really isn't. I understand we're all getting older, and there is replacing yourself, but you're still going to need to be a coach. Until you sell it and they're on their own, you still need to be a coach. You still need to be involved. Bill Belichick's not running plays, but he's coaching those plays. And he knows what the plays is supposed to look like. And that's when people are now leaning on your expertise to help them be successful and do this for a living. But I think it's you just having that mindset that I want to improve my school. I want to constantly, things are changing. I constantly want to be relevant. I constantly want to be reinventing ourselves so that we're fresh and people are attracted to us. Is that helpful? And being around this right here, be around movers and shakers and people who think this way, and yeah.
Mr. Kohler, give us some advice from your experience through this in Glassberry.
Well, basically, a good example would be the event that I posted to share with you, ABCs for Success, board breaking, old time favorite. Originally, we had planned to do it as an event outside our school on the grass. And I think it was just a little bit too crazy with school just starting and parents getting used to the new rules, and it's longer times dropping their kids off from school, all that stuff. So it was kind of like making lemonade out of lemons, because it forced me to shoot it as a video at my school, which I was able to add, as you see, some pizzazz to it, the music, the loudness, and make it as an at-home event. So something you can do as a way to bond with your child. This is 20 minutes you can spend with your child that's so valuable for them to have that success mindset. Plus, everyone feels like a superhero, not just the kids, but the parents too, as they break through the boards. And then after I talked with you and I posted it, I boosted it like Mr. Garcia said. I made sure, I didn't want to share it I had to make sure I followed the rules, and I boosted it for our Facebook public page as well, separate from our group pages for the school. And then what I came up with the idea, I'm like, holy crap, all these, in Glassbury, it's an affluent town, a lot of nice houses, a lot of nice yards, a lot of neighborhood stuff going on. And they're still hanging out with each other. I mean, they're doing the drive-through birthdays and all that stuff still. So I said, here, check out this event. It's really awesome. It's on our Facebook page. Here's the link. And then underneath I put, and if you're not on Facebook, we posted it to our student only section on our website. But if this is something you see that a lot of the neighborhood kids would like to do, let us know. We'll come to your backyard and we'll do it there. And I've done those before, and those are much more powerful than coming to the school
Right.
because it's all word of mouth, and the parents are all hanging out together, talking. And if you need the special boards, don't go to Home Depot. We sell them right at the pro shop. So, I mean, one thing just started leading to the next about, just what was started out as like, oh man, we didn't get really a turnout for this. What are we going to do? And it starts getting it right into their backyard per se. But obviously I have a lot of ammunition to create these community events, breaking down bully proof stuff, breaking down child safety stuff with all the holidays coming up. We also just had a great pizzeria move in right next door, but they're really good marketers. I mean, they have the commercials. That money's not an issue for them. How are they going to deal with it? I mean, restaurants were really hurting. And these guys got like old-fashioned military trucks with brick oven pizzas and pizza ovens on the back. And they're doing all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, so, hey, you guys, what do you guys think about, I would love to give away some training. I mean, it's crazy out there now. People are they don't know what's going to happen with society right now, with what's going on. Everyone needs to learn self-defense. And it's not just about the fighting, but just a more, you got to be a little bit more self-reliant and say, hey, look, I need to be strong for my family and my kids and stuff. So basically I said, I will give away 2 weeks of karate, compliments of your restaurant. So they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I made this really cool flyer. He goes, we're going to put one of these in every takeout bag we got. And 2 weeks ago, I was like, oh man, these guys are taking my parking lot up. The drive-through is crazy. Oh my, where are my people? Now, every time I see one of those cars, I'm like, yes, a flyer in their bag, And I said, and there's your growth mindset, Mr. Garcia. It's like, all right, this is cool. And then I said, look, we teamed up. I put this on a Facebook post. I boosted that as well because it's a free thing. And I said, you can get awesome food from them. And hey, look, you have an awesome dinner there and we'll help you work it off. And so just one thing right after another now, I'm just banging with it. And look, what are you going to do? Roll over and die, or are you going to fight? And just like you said, Mr. Garcia, you just got to fight.
Right.
And it's creating a lot of opportunities.
That's right.
One other person, Dave Priga, I know did your ABCs that you did last week, and you did B this week, right, Dave?
Yes, I just did this morning. Oh yeah, it's gold. I think it's great.
So here's two guys that have the growth mindset because they've already put in action what you taught last week, Paul.
Was it me? Did I break up?
I'm just saying both Dave and Rich implemented what you talked about last week already.
Oh, nice. Good. Awesome.
Yep.
That's what we're here for. Outstanding. So when Rich was talking, I was thinking about how he's attacking his marketing. So I think that's the point of what I was sharing earlier is we have one of two choices. Using the example by, and I forgot, I didn't write his name down, but the president of Pixar. Let me give you one example, and I think I gave this last week. I was walking by the class last week, and I saw that white belts were doing the same form that the events, and I said, why are you guys doing that? And they were just like, well, it's because I didn't have any, I didn't have an instructor help. I go, well, how many instructors are under the roof right now? He's like, what do you mean? I go, it's a simple question. How many instructors are under the roof right now? He's like, 3. I go, why don't you just go grab one? And I said, the problem is you're looking at what you have and you're trying to make that work. And I'm telling you to look at the ideal and go make that work. There's 3 instructors here. Go grab one of them. Tell them you need help. And what I was trying to tell him was, you go after the ideal. You go after it. You don't settle for what you have. Go after what's best. And that was like his teaching moment on the floor. But what I was looking at was like, constantly looking at, I hate to say I'm constantly looking for problems, but I'm just constantly looking for gaps between where we're at and what needs to get better. And I think that's one of the things that are indicative with people with growth mindset is that's how they're constantly looking at their business. I heard John Maxwell say this, and I'll stop with this one. He's like, don't be a clog. So I asked my staff all the time, I said, well, that's a sexy name, right? Who wants to be a clog? Just the word clog is not even attractive. I want to be a clog. And that's what he says, that people that don't have growth mindsets, you're a clog. Well, what do you mean I'm a clog? Think about it. I'm affecting my students, I'm affecting my staff, and I'm affecting my family because I don't want to do the work, or I'm clogging up their success, their growth. And I feel that as leaders, that's our responsibility, is to keep things growing, to keep things moving in the right direction.
Very cool, everyone. Mr. Fournier.
What are your thoughts?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Hey, it's like the old times, guys. Just Mr. Kohler, good to see you too, my friend. And the Perez family, good to see you guys. It's been a long time.
This was Mr. Fournier was teaching a class probably about a month and a half ago. And he's out in the back porch, probably where he is now, and he's doing some triple punches with the kids. And so I just happened to come across it. So I'm watching him teach class, and so I'm sending in some ideas, and all of a sudden he goes on class speed with the class plan and starts doing what I suggested. I go, this is really cool.
Oh, that's
Really awesome.
Yeah.
I
So
thought you were going to say like a bear went in the backyard, you know? He's up in Maine.
Yes. We got some bars up here.
Yeah. Why am I the only one in my dojo?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. All right, I'm like, wait a minute, we're talking about work. I'm the only one in the dojo.
yeah, that's number 2, right? Growth mindset. Show up. Gotta go to work, man.
This is what Master used to say when we were consultants, because I would get aggravated trying to call schools and stuff, and I couldn't get in touch with anyone. He's like, don't you remember what it was like to be a schooler? He says, you walk in, 9:30, you teach a 10 o'clock class, and you're like, whew, I had to get a cup of coffee. Go get coffee, come back, return a free phone calls. Wow, it's already lunchtime. I got to go get lunch. He's like, they're never in their schools.
I have an excuse. My daughter's at my school, so.
Oh, there you go. All right, there you go.
All right, everyone. We'll see you shortly again. We'll put on another. We're going to turn this into a podcast. That's our plan. So you'll be able to get these on Spotify and iTunes and things like that. So we're looking
if people want to submit, email Master Silva and just submit, hey, what do you guys think about this? Or how would you handle this? If you want anything specific, that we'd be more than happy to do that, because we're in this for you. So we're not in this to just talk about things that we don't feel that are irrelevant. If it's relevant to you, then it's relevant to us. We're in it for you. So please. The other thing is we just made, it's kind of like a commercial. we wanted to explain what this is and why we're doing it. And it's truly, like we said before, this started from a conversation him and I having about the state of the industry. And that's when I said, listen, I got time, you got time, let's just do this. Let's just put it out there, help some people. So if you guys wouldn't mind checking out the commercial, and then if you could share it, and like I say in the commercial, so it's on record, this is not a feeder program. We're not getting everybody hyped up to back end some this is free. And you'll see it in the commercial. It's the same spirit that started our relationship. In 1991, I went down to Florida, 20-year-old kid, and he invited me to his school. He let me watch his classes for 2 days. He gave me his curriculum. He turned me on to personal development for free. He didn't charge me, for free. So that's the idea. If we can just give back, if all of us can give back to this industry that's been so good to us, and keep this thing thriving for the next generation, whether we have to model for them, kick them in the pants, get their heart right, whatever it is, I think that'd be a great service. So we're not the clog. So that 10 years from now, some kid in elementary school struggling with bullying, he'll get the same benefit from training that we got when we were kids. The Cobra Kai.
Nice.
You guys watching that? It's the best series ever. Oh my gosh. My wife's like, I can't. She's like, the acting's terrible. I go, it's supposed to be. It's the 80s, man. I love it. The karate's terrible too, but it's, yeah, it's so bad. But it's awesome. It's such a good story.
Mike Chat's kid was on season 1.
Really?
Yep.
Who,
Yeah.
No.
Talon, his son Talon was in when they had the first tournament, the first Valley tournament.
Oh,
He was
okay.
doing all kinds of flips and things.
Oh,
like
yeah. I remember that. All
Mike-
right. I just finished the second season. I think I'm going to go back and watch the whole thing over again. It's just so good.
Yeah. All right, guys. Take care. Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.